Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Record of Swordforged Worlds, a unofficial Sword World podcast. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me I have two of my good brothers here in the temple. We have the man who is but a letter, Good Brother A.
Hello, everybody.
And the man losing arguments with himself, Good Brother Hydra.
Hello, boys. I'm back.
Yes, he is back and has gone through the cleansing process of dealing with people who may be from Toronto.
I mean, that's effectively a bi-daily thing, given the sheer amount of shit that takes place in Toronto.
Yep. But regardless, we are back at it. Last time around, we covered setting. This time around, we're covering campaigns. Now, specifically, we're covering two campaigns that released relatively close to each other. But the reason I'm focusing on these two is they are similar in some aspects, especially when it comes to theming. Well, not theming, but in terms of flow, I guess is how I'd put it. Oh. And those are Fairy Garden and Mist Castle. Now, when it comes to the tone of both of these two, they couldn't be any further apart from each other. But in terms of the timeline, they came out pretty close to each other. And when I say pretty close, I'm talking a year's difference. Mist Castle came out in February 2009. Which means it came out just a few months before Alchemist Works. And just a few months after after Core Rulebook 3. Core Rulebook 3 came out in August 2008, remember?
Mhm.
And then Fairy Garden came out in March of 2010. So about a year apart from each other when it comes to those two. Which is interesting to me, since there's going to be, when it comes to certain mechanics, there is going to be some overlap, but Fairy Garden obviously takes place in Fairyland, and Mist Castle takes place in the city of Mist. One of the few named regions within the Razodon continent. Remember, Razodon is meant to be this area that's overrun with Barbarous, that's a blank slate for GMs to do a kind of keep on the Borderlands thing. It has regularly been the subject of several crusades or attempts to reconquer, but by I believe it's Zaltz, which is directly to the south. There's a big bridge that connects the two continents. Now, Fairyland is not a full-on bubble world, which we won't get to the whole concept of bubble world for a while. But it is essentially an artificial world that was created by a very powerful fairy tamer to essentially have a sanctuary for fairies. With it, but since it is somewhat its own rules, you could consider it a prototype of what we'd see with the bubble worlds much later. And I know I keep teasing that, but we're not going to get to that concept proper until we get to the 2.5 era, and that's not going to be happening for a while. So, with that in mind, I think it is. I think it was a good call to have these two adventures, since I look at this as an experiment to try and see what they can do. Because keep in mind, we haven't really hit the spot where things have settled in terms of what is a good idea or bad idea with Sword World, because we're only dealing with a year's worth of material. So we're in that phase of we're seeing what sticks. And these two modules have been a bit divisive. There are some people who defend it, some people who think that they have some significant problems. But there's also the fact that Mist Castle was something of a rush job. Now, when we get to what's in it, that will be impressive. And I can think of at least one person who is probably watching this who's very familiar with Mist Castle. But speak of the devil, and thus she appears. Hello, Riona. You'll probably be experiencing some Vuja Day all over again. But something we kind of saw with the scenarios last week, and we'll definitely be seeing here as well as in future ones, is every scenario has its own unique rules. The only ones that really don't, and even then this is not exactly the case, are the one-off scenarios that you might see in GM Warlock that are only a few pages in length. The full-on campaigns all have their own unique campaign rules. This is something that you do see with some games, but I'd argue not to the same extent. You definitely don't see it with any game that relies on dungeon crawls, where the unique gimmick is supposed to be the dungeon, but not adding any unique mechanics or anything like that. And personally, I like the fact that each one of these has their own mechanics exclusive to it. It helps those particular campaigns feel unique. I'd liken it to how in some RTS games, whenever an expansion comes out, you'll get a new faction with its own unique mechanics, and sometimes those mechanics will carry over into the other factions, depending on the game. Of course, in some cases, you wish it didn't happen, like say, flying units in Dawn of War: Soulstorm. Okay, that's not entirely fair. Soulstorm wasn't done by Relic. It was done by Ironlore. And if you've been around the RTS scene long enough, you know how it goes whenever another studio does an expansion for a game. It tends to not go well.
Indeed.
But the first one, Fairy Garden, is good. Obviously, the idea is you're going to be going in and out of Fairyland. Each time you go in, it's supposed to be a different adventure. But a lot of them are built with this. Almost hex crawl, but not quite. You'll kind of see how it's going. They also have their own unique way of calculating experience that you get, using the star system that they have. But first off, because Fairyland is, well, a land of fairies, where it exists, it's not on the map. The gates to get into it move around. So you might end up entering Fairyland in one place and exiting it in a completely different place.
I mean, this is fairies we're talking about. They gotta confuse you somehow.
Mm-hmm. But I believe this was the first introduction to the concept of the higher tier fairies known as Olden fairies. They're a subcategory of fairies, and we kind of talked about it when we talked about the Fairy Tamer class. When it comes to identifying fairies, a fairy tamer can automatically succeed at monster knowledge checks. Not with Olden fairies. You have to roll it the old-fashioned way, just like anybody else. There are also the opposite end of them, sprites. These are the weakest form of fairies. Their auras don't even reveal them as fairies. They don't really do. Some of them can speak, some of them have goals, but a lot of them just want to fly around and screw around. And in addition to that, there's also different introductions, side quests, and the map that you create. Instead of getting experience at the end of the adventure, you get experience through a star system. When you complete a mission or when it's called for, you get a number of stars based on the adventure that you do. At a certain amount, you can turn in those stars to get 200 experience points for each one when you complete a mission. Obviously, harder missions are going to give more stars, so you have that to look forward to. Now, one of the things to note, because you're dealing with fairies, if you are playing a Runefolk, you're gonna have a bit of a trickier time. Because Runefolk, remember, can't see fairies. And this also means that when getting attacked by fairies, they take -4 to attacking fairies and -4 to evading melee attacks from fairies. Oh. And because they're invisible to them, they can't use magic against them. On the other hand, you can get an accessory called fairy glasses to actually see them. So if you want to play on hard mode as a rune folk, you can, but there's workarounds. Also, you remember how we talked about how in certain areas minor gods have an MP penalty for using divine spells?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't apply in Fairyland. There's no need to consecrate land in order to mitigate the MP penalty, because the whole land is considered miraculous.
That's a nice buff.
Mm-hmm. Fairy tamers themselves don't need gems for fairy magic here.
Home ice advantage.
Mm-hmm.
No, home field advantage. My bad.
Mm-hmm. For riders, if you rented a mount when you moved in, you won't be able to return it until you leave. You'll be able to use that mount without paying upkeep or rental fees. Some areas within Fairyland have stables where you can rent mounts. And of course, much like in Raxia, if you rent a mount and the mount ends up dead, you're getting a black mark. Also, some PCs do have flight abilities and some spells give flight abilities. PCs can't fly in Fairyland. If they try, they get moved right back to where they started. You also can't teleport.
So you gotta move around the old-fashioned way.
Yep. Either on foot or on mounts. Which does make me...
What about the engineers and their mechanicals? Does that count as well?
Except like I think it's not stated, but I'd like to think that if you're just hovering about, it's not going to penalize. If you're doing full-on flight, then you're gonna get moved back.
Alright, so no drunkable shenanigans when you just instant transmission will fly around.
Mm-hmm. But there tends to be a progression approach of introduction when you're going to Fairyland, doing missions in them, trying to get out, and then the ending. In order to reach ending, you have to do at least 15 missions. And when it comes to missions, they're on a particular progression chart of taking the mission, traveling to the destination you need to go to, which is represented with time bands. That's what TB means. There are 6 of them: morning, noon, evening, night, midnight, dawn. Think of one time band as about 4 hours. If you're trying to go to an area you haven't gone to before, you can create a new section. At the back of the book, there is a grid where you can put in these sections. Mistcastle also has this to a point, and I ended up having to make this kind of thing manually, which was a bit tricky at first. Especially since I could either do text boxes on Roll20 or just use the graphics. I chose the latter approach because, as tedious as it got, it was less tedious than trying to directly put the pairs of numbers on each. Oh. There are some areas that are fixed, though. And when you do travel from one section to another, a path appears between the two. So you found a path of travel between those two sections. If you do that, you don't need to do a traveling check. Which we'll get to that later. Now, when it comes to missions, some of them will be tied to events, and there is a whole random event table. This is sometimes used instead of doing a travel check, and there's a whole list of random events that you're going to be rolling. Some events will occur up to a set amount of times. Afterwards, they don't occur anymore. Some are recurring events, and some are triggered by missions. And I mentioned before, you gain experience through stars. There's a separate management sheet for both Fairyland and Mist Castle when it comes to tracking stars. The star advancement thing is something you're going to see off and on throughout. But like I said, when it comes to, in some of the later ones, you'd get a certain amount of stars and once you have enough equal to the number of PCs at the table, you get 200 XP for each one. And of course, you still get XP from defeating monsters and from automatic failures. If you want economic failures, wait until we get to Raxia Life later on, where we talk about work skills.
Yeah. And
then when you finish a mission, you can go to section 1, where Seven Colored Cat's Hospitality Pavilion is, and take a new mission. If you choose not to accept a new mission, the stars that you've earned up to that point will be saved until you receive and complete another mission. And the main kind of mission is going to be quests. You can get quests from either the Hospitality Pavilion or from NPCs across. A lot of them don't have a set time to complete and can be done whenever you want. These are the standard fetch quests you might see in an MMO. You can take quests from multiple NPCs at the same time. Not all of them have to be completed. Some may have continuations. So if you've played any MMO in the last 30 years, you're going to be familiar with this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I know some will call that too video gamey, but that's grog thinking, and fuck the grogs.
The stars kind of remind me of a West Marches campaign I was a part of one time, where, like, similar to this, where you do quests on top of like the gold and the XP you get. You also get like a kind of a meta currency like this that you can use for different things. Either to go and get like, oh hey, I have an X amount of meta currency. I want to get this magic item, or oh hey, I want to buy a house in the hamlet and start a business or something. It's been a while since I was in that West Marches. I thought that was a really clever idea, and this is similar to that.
I've never understood why some people have a massive hate boner for the idea of meta currency. Probably because we have to do probably because those same people have to use the words simulation and verisimilitude one-handed, if you catch my drift. But Riona had said, also reminds me a lot of, say, Neverwinter Nights, where you can export characters between stuff.
Yeah.
I
remember that game.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that. funny thing about Neverwinter Nights, I happened to stumble upon a mod where somebody implemented the Book of Nine Swords in Neverwinter Nights, and if I can get that to work in the enhanced editions, I may try that.
Oh god, I remember playing that in the original release of the game, and it was definitely one of the better ones.
I just like using that because every time I did, some of the grogs would get mad, so of course I kept doing it. But you can discard a mission if it's too difficult. If you do that, you will get XP based on the stars you would have earned. And it's just each one is half of what it normally would have been. Up to 5 of them are going to be 100 XP each. The 6th onward is 200 XP each. If you discard a mission, you can redo it wherever you got it.
Oh, jeez, it really is just like an MMO quest.
Based on what we're seeing, I do wonder if Diablo was an influence to a certain extent. And I know I keep picking on the whole video game argument, but that's because I keep hearing how that's a bad thing, but nobody can explain why.
Bring the receipts, people.
The usual argument is, if I wanted to play something like a video game, I'd play a video game, which I find kind of silly. But
well, art imitates art after all.
Yep. And it's not like artists are going to be drawing upon other folk, or I remember when people would try to put this hard line divide between comics and manga, and I'm like, you realize comic artists and writers are cribbing notes from each other all the damn time. McFarlane cited Akira as the big thing that put the idea of doing animated Spawn in his head. But we also have the whole thing with enemy determination, which I do like that the size of encounter is directly tied to how many PCs are in the party. And we have an example right there of, okay, if you're only dealing with one PC, one goblin. 2 or 3, 2 more goblins. 4 or 5, a boggart.
This is definitely the kind of encounter flexibility I definitely enjoy, depending on whether or not someone has to bail out at the last minute or not.
This almost feels like they made a book for that gives your players like something to do like in between like down times in the story. Not like actual like, oh, going after the big bad evil guy, like trying to set up for the next story arc, or just something that the players can do if they're not quite sure what the next step is. It's like, oh, let's just go do the quest for the little old lady in the gingerbread house.
So there is the option of random events that can happen when you travel by path. When that happens, you'd roll a 2d6. If the result is 5 or less, then a random event happens. And if that random event has already occurred, or it's run out of charges, essentially, it can't repeat. If you run out of all 21 events, then the random event is nothing happens. But there are certain icons that each area is going to have. Either rest, where you can get food and rest, trade, where you can spend money to get items, or search, where you can potentially find useful items or loot. Some areas, just being in them can generate stars, or if you solve an event, you'll get stars. Usually, you only get it once. Some of them will have it that you can get it more than once, and it'll list if you do. It'll usually be like R or up to X amount of times. And every time you do that event, you get the amount of stars listed. If it's recurring, then every time the event happens, you're gonna get that stars. If it's up to X amount of times, it's a limited recurring of you get it that you can do it that many times, and after that it's locked. But when it comes to time, instead of having you specifically track the hours, it's just tracked through time bands. I think anyone who's played any video game that has some sort of active passage of time mechanic will be familiar with this kind of abstraction. And when you travel or resolve an event, one time band passes. If you do a rest, that also takes up one time band. And there is the issue of if you're traveling at night. Remember that some humanoids can't see at night. So unless you have dark vision, you should have a torch. If you're using torches, you're using 2 per time band. If you're using lanterns, you can light them for 3 time bands at a time. And of course, you do have to worry about eating and what happens if you spend too long without eating. We also have a nice little flowchart about the passage of time. So there's a lot that can happen in just one time band. Now, when it talks about monsters, I do like that there is an action decision table, which means you can, in theory, play this solo. And it doesn't outright state which form of combat is preferred, but I would assume most people who would do this the first time would be using simplified combat. And while soul scars are not a problem in Fairyland, there is a separate issue, and that is assimilation. If you stay in Fairyland too long, you gradually assimilate into it. If your assimilation is too high, you become too adapted to Fairyland and you can't leave. The main ways that that this assimilation level can go up is if you die and get resurrected. This gives you 2 assimilation points. If you run away from combat, and successfully escape, you get 1. If you get pranked by a fairy, you get 1. Or if you stay in Fairyland for 10 days, you get 1. If you're staying there for 9 days, then you leave on day 9, you don't get it. There are ways to reduce that assimilation level. Like the Therapy House Hot Springs at 7 Colored Cat. And if you go outside of it, that assimilation level goes down by 1 point per day. If you spend time in the hot springs, it's 1 point per bath you end up taking. And I like that because of that. While there isn't a threat of something you're chasing, there is this implication that you're going to be going in and out, which is why I ended up thinking of Diablo for a moment. And the fact that going all the way through the dungeons when you're in Tristram, for example, isn't the best idea. That game is built around the idea of you exploring around, then heading back to Tristram to either offload supplies or sell some stuff off that you can't use. Because hey, I went through this long ass dungeon to get a very powerful weapon that's for the wrong damn class.
Good times.
Mm-mm. But when it comes to filling the map, first off, you have to determine a destination on the map, which is randomly determined. Then travel to that area, and then see what area you end up revealing. This can result in some very odd combinations of map areas being generated, as well as if you're trying to do things later on, constantly rolling results that are not that you've already revealed.
I mean, the dice gods show no mercy.
Yep. But in doing so, you are able to create a path. And sometimes you can create travel paths no matter how far apart the two sections are. Because, because space is warped and time is bendable in a land of fairies. On the other hand, if you want to move to a section that doesn't have a path to it, that is a travel check. You're rolling 2D straight, and in order to travel scot-free, you need to roll at least a 6. If you get a 2 or 3, you travel to a completely new section in a different area, i.e. the area you didn't want to go to. If you get a 4 or 5, you travel to a new section and create a path to it. If you get a 6, you just travel to the section you want. And there are certain fixed areas, but you can see that each of the areas has 6 spots where you could put a spot in. The only fixed areas are the bell towers at the cardinal directions, and the 2 fixed sections, Seven Colored Cats Hospitality and the Fairy King Castle. I also like that there's a nice little management sheet, which I'd say this kind of campaign would be a nightmare without that management sheet, I think. But another unique thing about Fairyland is fairy ore. This was created as a way to augment the power of fairies, but the land itself automatically refines it. There are 6 types, essentially one for each element: crimson, azure, yellow, transparent, milky, and jet black. And actually, I take it back about one. So let's see: fire, water, so water/ice, earth, wind, light, and jet black. They say is order, but I think could also be darkness. It is the mana source for fairies that live there. Unlike in Raxia, fairies here to work with tamers don't need a contract, because the ores supply them with mana. But some fairies have knowledge going all the way back to the Magic Civilization period. Some have been there long enough to think like humanoids. Some still have contracts with fairy tamers from the Magic Civilization period. But it's not like you're going to get a straight answer from them unless they want to. Especially since they're still hedonistic. And I do like the note about in Fairyland there's always a fairy feast going on somewhere. But even with all the shifting landscapes of the place, the bell towers don't change. And incidentally, I do like that at least 3 of the bell towers you can kind of get what the associated element is just from the name. Like you have Jin's bell tower to the west, Titan's bell tower to the east, Ifrit's bell tower to the south, and Mimir's bell tower to the north. I'm guessing Mimir's supposed to be the north because water. And also, it's somewhat of a nod to the elemental gates from Sword World 1.0. Where the further you go, it's like the elemental poles in Exalted.
It also would be rather tell me in the northern parts.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, the further north you get, the colder and icier it gets until it's too cold to live.
AKA Minnesota and Canada, maybe Russia.
No. Finland.
Oof.
Versus the Ifrit's tower, it gets hotter and hotter until it's too hot to live. Rather the fire gate. So the Sahara or Arizona, depending on your preference.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Mm-hmm. But there are different introductions, which you can kind of use as a way to do the session 1 as far as getting into Fairyland. But you will always be greeted by Kate C. And this time he's not riding a giant stuffed Moogle.
No, he's not.
He is still a cat. And he is still helpful, quote unquote. And
he is a fairy, so the quotes are necessary.
Yep. But he does run the hospitality pavilion. And I should note he goes by Irving. Catsy is just the type of fairy that he is. But there are three introduction approaches. One of them is finding treasures. The other is solving the mystery of Fairyland, and the third is trying to find a missing person. But there have been some incidents and some things to deal with. But a lot of the facilities within Seven Colored Cats are run by different Kate C. You have the hospitality pavilion. You have the therapy house where you can get medicinal herbs and potions. Not poisons. This is also where the hot springs are at. You have the stables.
Hot spring. Gotta have a hot spring episode.
Yep.
You have the stables. So if you have which is run by Isabel, which you can get mounts from. The Magic Workshop, which is run by Era, who can make magic items. The Steel Workshop, so imagine a Kate C. blacksmith. In this case, Riki, who can make weapons and armor.
Does Sword World not have the the Iron Burn Fae thing, or is this like the most careful fairy in all of existence?
I don't think they're doing the iron thing.
Okay.
The closest that you have to that is casters get penalized for their casting checks if they're in metallic armor. But that's not something unique to fairies. That's something that not unique to fairy tamers. Every caster has that problem. Which is why they make specific note that enhancer techniques aren't magic. You can use MP for them, but they're not magic. So use them in heavy armor. Why not? If you're taking enhancer, you're probably pairing that with one of the warrior classes, anyways. Oh, and it probably wouldn't surprise you if I said that Grappler Enhancer is a pretty common combo.
Yeah.
Oh. But the obviously the other thing is that each of the managers of those particular facilities, they can't leave that area. So you're not taking them along with you as NPCs or something like that. You can take items and loot and give them to Irving to have him turn them into mana materials. The worth of it would be half of the base price of the item. If you're giving him loot, it's the mana materials worth selling the cost of loot. But you can't convert mana materials into Gamel. On the other hand, mana materials can be used as the main currency for these different facilities to make an item or getting mounts. Which would make sense. It would be kind of odd if they were still using the Gamel monetary system that Raxia is using. Because why would they use coinage? They're fairies.
Yeah. They still have an economy, just not the same kind.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It also helps further that line of separation between Fairyland and Raxia. And the rest of the material is just going into each individual area and what you can find in it, as well as what quests you could take. All of the facilities are run by a Kate C who has their own set of requests, and you can see that the requests aren't that complex. Like, one of Aria's requests is just get 10 small bottles of honey. But I'm not going to go through every single area because there are a lot of them. I will note there are several areas that do use puzzle mechanics, and some of the stuff later on also uses puzzles. This is one of the reasons why Fairy Garden is a bit divisive. puzzles in TTRPGs are a tricky thing to do, and it's a big reason why a lot of people don't. Because with the way mechanics work in a TTRPG, there's usually that idea of you are rolling as an abstraction to see if you succeed or fail or at something. But puzzles are something that does not work well with randomization. Like when I think of the worst puzzles in video games, I always think about the ones that have some kind of RNG, like the hieroglyph puzzle in Hexen 2. You know, the one you step on the wrong tile, you go right back, and the teleport tiles reshuffle every single time.
Mm-hmm.
That was just evil.
Oh. And I can call it evil because this is still Raven Software, and they're pros. So I can't say this was down to bad design. It's down to you guys knew exactly what you were doing.
Just trying to go and had some game time out.
Mm-hmm. But in trying to do puzzles in tabletop, you have that problem, and the problem that you don't have full control over how puzzle savvy your table is going to be. It's like how some people can solve a Rubik's Cube in the time it takes me to finish this sentence, and other people are not going to finish this cube, but by the time the stream ends, the stream could be ended. We're waking up Monday morning, and they're still working on that damn cube.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, is that a bit of an extreme example? Yes. But the point is, it's very difficult to plan around different levels of proficiency with puzzles, just in general, and even more so when you have a table you're working with.
I mean, puzzles work well with when it's all about the player controls. Like Zelda has a shit ton of puzzles, some better than others, but at the very least, there's no randomization to it.
Hmm.
It's very much dependent on not just the player's puzzle savviness, but it also depends on the game master of how good they are at describing the puzzle as well.
True.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like everybody likes a good puzzle. Let me rephrase it. People like the idea of puzzles in games and tabletop RPGs, but it's so hard to go and implement it the right way across an untold amount of different tables. It's kind of like just one of those things where it's like it's not worth adding unless you're going unless that's the whole point of the adventure.
I mean, the idea is nice, but the execution is look, I'm just gonna be blunt and say it can be a real bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also the fact that it requires a certain degree of skill on the designer side of things, and if you screw it up, it's going to be very noticeable. And I think that's the reason why a lot of tabletop designers don't even try it. Because you're threading the eye of a needle. And hell, even pros on the video game side when it comes to doing puzzles still struggle. I mean, do I need to bring up the water temple again?
No, you don't.
I know in remakes it's easier. I know Miyamoto's apologized about it. But all's fair in love and riffing. But with each of the areas that you do have a single graphic as well as the icons as mentioned, and events as well as quests. Oh. But I do like that there is even though Fairy Garden is very much going to be, well, forest heavy, there's still a variety of that. And there's definitely some places that don't fit what people would think of a fairy garden. Like, say, the Forest of Tobacco Lovers. Or the Graveyard of the Giants. But there are the more fixed areas, and if someone wants to get the best ending, it is gonna revolve around messing around with the with the puzzles involved, especially depending on which ending you want to take.
Well, I'll say this: at least they were kind enough in giving us endings.
Mm-hmm. And one of the because there are several endings. A couple of them could be considered the bad ending. One of them involves creating the goddess of evil.
Yeah, yep, that would definitely be a bad ending.
Specific, because the hidden villain is Magnolia, the Witch of Fairyland. As far as why that happens, I'm not going to spoil that.
No, play the game, people.
Mm-hmm.
We're not a bunch of barbarians here.
That being said, one of the things that can happen in the true ending is Fairyland being now part of Raxia. A part of it up in the sky, but that can happen instead of it being in a separate dimension. And of course, depending on how much you completed the adventure, you might get certain titles and get certain reputation. This can range from 250 points to 1,500 points. And there are specific missions that are fixed that have certain level recommendations. I'd say the highest ones are ones that are level 10. Actually, not level 10. There's one that's level 13 for its recommended level. And of course, I mentioned it earlier, but there are several potential tables for fairy pranks.
Of course.
There are 5 of them. Usually, something will say which table you're rolling between A through E. Some of them are single target. Then you've got table B, which affects the whole party. Table D affects the whole party, and unless you are moved by the effects. And table E, a fairy decides to turn one of the PCs into a fairy.
That's a thing.
So, is that just gonna kill that player and kill that character, and the player won't be able to play as the fairy, or are they gonna
No.
have a chance to like turn themselves back?
It's not permanent. It only lasts for a day, so 6 time
Okay.
bands. You can get turned into a sprite, into a gnome, into a sylph. It could do nothing at all. A Undine, a Salamander, or a Shade. You would get a unique skill with each time based on the monster entry for them. All other abilities are unchanged. And the point is, you won't be able to use your normal effects. It's not far removed from like getting hit with Frog or Mini. And for whatever reason, there's a part of me that's imagining a grappler getting turned into a sprite and becoming the Jawbreaker in DBZ.
Hey,
That
you know
would
what?
be funny.
Would be to see that.
Boo going, I'm going to turn you into a candy, and gets his ass kicked by the same candy.
I mean, jawbreakers are not easy to take down.
No. And again, if you're going to call a candy a Jawbreaker, you better deliver.
At that point, you might as well have teeth made of adamantium.
Hi, Jaws. How you doing? But one of the things. Now, obviously, if you are able to get out of Fairyland, you will get and return with a fairy gem. You will get the title Return from Fairyland and get 300 reputation. But let's see, one of the things I am trying to find is what the threshold is where you're too assimilated. Because remember, if you assimilate if you're in there for too long, you can't leave. So, and then I know I skimmed over a lot of the areas, but that's because there's 36 of them, each with their own events and quests. So going into them would be a little bit redundant.
Not to mention, it probably will also be rife with spoilers. We want the
Yeah.
players to try out the game.
Mm-hmm. And while there are issues of it being a bit restrictive, I do think Fairy Garden is still worth giving a shot. You are probably going to do a bunch of book jumping because of how the thing is laid out, but there's no way to really avoid that. I'd also be remiss if I didn't point out that for riders, there are unique mounts to Fairyland. Whether or not you want to use them outside of it, that's up to the GM. But Unicorn, Sleipnir, and Lesser Dragon are mount options.
I feel like just about everybody would at least think about trying to get themselves a lesser dragon at least once.
You're gonna have to work for it because the appropriate level minimum is 13.
I mean, it is a lesser dragon, so that does make sense.
Yeah. A lesser dragon is one step above a draconet, which is the youngest class of dragon. If you want the title of Dragoon, this is how you get it.
Well, let's be frank. There are no shortage of mount collectors in all the various MMOs out there. So, eh?
Yeah, and I'd honestly say mounts in this are going to be a much bigger deal than mounts in any MMO we've played.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. But personally, even though it would take quite a while to get, I think it'd be amusing to get Sleipnir, especially if you're wielding a spear.
Would you do it? Would you go ahead and have Slipnir as a mount?
Yeah, and just go get the mount, get a spear, just put on an eye patch for some reason.
But it is they describe it as the perfect mount for those in a hurry, which makes sense
Not
given
wrong.
that the flying movement speed of a Sleipnir is 88 meters.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah.
That is pretty fast. Because of the whirlwind ability, they can carry people with them when they move. And at no surprise, they're really, really good at charging and trampling. I can see some people taking a unicorn, which has very good healing, of course.
Yeah.
But
Well, unicorn is probably going to be the easiest to get. I mean, it is for level 6 to 8, so it's definitely nice for early session the party group.
I'd say mid-session. And when it comes, obviously a lesser dragon isn't as fast, but on the other hand, you're riding a dragon.
Yeah.
Said dragon can have a couple other characters as passengers. Which makes me think of the way the whole adventuring party was on Legna's back in Drakengard 2. But and of course there is a whole expansion of Bestiary, including a few Barbarous. Though the main one that's there is a Vampire Lily in both bat form and vampire form. Vampire Lily is a type of Nosferatu, so probably not a good idea to pick a fight with them unless you're significantly leveled. I also like that there is a achievement checklist. That's how it determines how complete you've done the adventure.
Huh.
So it's definitely possible to 100% this thing.
It's going to take a while, and you have to be going in and out for a while or spending long amounts of time in the bath. But so what I am trying to find is if these, because what the threshold for assimilation level is. Because obviously you can get it.
You just can't find where in the book it talks about it?
Oh, I found it. Oh, it was in one of the it was much later on in one of the areas. So when it comes to leaving Fairyland, you roll 2d6. If the roll is equal to or above your assimilation level, you can leave. If it's below, you can't leave. Because there is a specific magic circle to get in and out of Fairyland. Oh. And obviously the main way to clear it is using the hot springs. And if you fail the check, you can't reattempt until your assimilation level is lowered.
So we're gonna be spending a lot of time over at the bathhouse.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that makes a nice little bookend for each one of the little stints that the players stay in Fairyland. Because at the end of it, the players are encouraged to go to the bathhouse to try to get their assimilation level low enough so that they don't risk being stuck there.
Yeah. And obviously, if you, depending on your introduction, you can ask and answer the question, did you get what you came here to get? If you gave up on that, then you get the return from Fairyland ending. Otherwise, you can go back. Oh. So you do. But like I said, the big tricky part is that there's a lot of interconnected things with the adventure. And even with that, I do think Fairyland handles it, I won't say better, but I think it'd be a little bit easier to bring people in. Compared to Mist Castle. Which, speaking of, let's talk about Mist Castle. If I listen very close, I can hear Riona sneezing in the distance. Because how could I not? I'm going to be bringing up Crow. How could I not? But Mist Castle, it is impressive that it was a rush job, because what here is quite extensive. This was the first proper campaign book for Sword World. This was also the book that set the precedent for the whole area exploration thing we talked about previously. In this case, you're exploring the city of Mist. Mist is completely run by Barbarous. Humanoids are treated as slaves. And there are a handful of Barbarous that are at the top of the food chain.
I mean, the slave is no real surprise. Just look at the cover art, and it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's also like a slime. It looks like a slime girl on the bottom right. So it's not just.
That's not a slime girl. That's a jade statue. Because the guy who's on the cover, that is Yahakazesh, also known as the Green General, who is a jade basilisk.
Oh, so I take it the eye patch he wears is what he takes off to turn people to jade?
Yeah, basilisks always have a evil eye. Some basilisks that have the inheritor class can have multiple evil eyes they can shift between to do different effects with the stare. but any humanoid that's enslaved to a barbarous is going to have a slave collar. The collar has a password that, if that password's activated, the collar can constrict, which means that a slave can be taken out whenever their master likes. And this particular password also works if the person with the collar tries to leave. On the other hand, another barbarous can't kill someone else's slave.
Surprise, motherfucker!
Hey there, Yang. Thank you for the raid. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Mildra. I am your one and only gaming monk, and today we are talking a bit of Sword World. Hopefully Peak treated you well, and hope the rest of you enjoy the shenanigans in store. But getting back to it, there are humanoids that are called honorary barbarous, basically having the same rights as barbarous, but are not. I'm raiding and running. Have a good stream. No worries, Yang. You stay frosty. But the barbarous aren't very good at maintaining cities. So Mist has seen better days, and there's ruins all over the place, including several Magitech ruins. Which I have to wonder if that gave Crow the idea of pursuing the Artificer class. And a while back I did have art commissioned of Crow. Let me see if I can find where I put that. Here it is. Because when I ran this campaign with Riona, she picked a I-type Abyssborn. And at first focused on Grappler with a bit of Enhancer, then added Artificer to the repertoire. And I had commissioned two pieces, one early campaign and one late campaign, because due to how I had things set up, she did reach all the way to adventure level 15. Plus, I wanted an excuse to do a kind of time skip concept, but I'm gonna put the two images in the side chat for you.
Yeah, that's actually pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Normally an Abyssborn who has the Eye of the Abyss can only activate it for a few seconds, but once you reach a certain adventure level, you can just have it on constantly. But there is a sort of pecking order when it comes to Mist. At the top are the upper barbarous. Yahakazesh is one of them. Below that are honorary barbarous, humanoids that have contributed to the city in some way or pledged to cooperate. You can only become an honorary barbarous by nomination. And they're usually given an honorary bracelet. This isn't the same as a slave collar, but it basically means any barbarous who would want to pick a fight with you is better served not doing that. Then there's the common barbarous, every single one, everyone that isn't on the upper tier. And just because they're all lumped into that class doesn't mean they're the same strength-wise, because obviously there's going to be a difference in strength between a goblin and a drake.
Yeah.
Below that are the slaves. And at the bottom are vagabonds. Vagabonds are drifters. And because of the fact that they're considered non-people, they tend to be targets for barbarous attacks or just being hunted for food or sport.
Or both.
The reason why they don't leave is because, well, the city is all they've known. As far as why just flying into the city isn't done, there are magic devices that will deal with that, and you'd get shot down. There are also certain areas that you're not allowed to visit if you're a slave or a vagabond.
Makes sense.
And you do have that kind of building the area, but you don't have the travel paths that you did in Fairy Garden. When it comes to... You do have the random encounter setup. The strength of those encounters is based on the average level of the average adventure level of the PCs. When it comes to the priest class, since you're in the Razeldawn continent, you only get the MP penalty if you're a priest of a minor god. For major ones, because there are hidden temples in parts of Mist, you don't have that penalty. And there are certain people who are on the side of humanoids called keepers that can help you with that. But and yeah, and Riona does point out it's rare that a game lets you be a fist fighter, a gun user, and a magic user all at once and do it well. That is something I've had to drill into people's heads, that much like with my own work, you cannot treat individual classes in isolation. The only time you can really do that is Tales of the Dragon's Remains. But the classes exclusive to that one, as we saw when we talked about Bubble Worlds a few weeks back, are carrying a lot more weight. And also, because of that, they're a lot more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, multi-classing is stupid easy. But the whole range band thing still applies. When it comes to random encounters, you're rolling either 1 or 2 d6 depending on the number of PCs. There are some encounters that are treated as bosses. These are going to be more fixed. And the adventure level of them is based on... Not the adventure level. The level of them is based on the average adventure level plus a modifier. And you do have target numbers that are used, which will fluctuate based on adventure level. Same thing when it comes to treasures. Some treasures will be a fixed value, and in some cases you have treasure tables. You also have a similar TN table for traps. And you do have the same icon thing with the areas, as well as things like quests or other matters. But one of the key things with the introductions is the fact that your introduction to Mist determines your initial keeper, as well as what your next move might be. Now, when I ran this with Riona, the approach that we ended up taking was I believe the request introduction, where Crow was being commissioned to infiltrate Mist and set up a map, and then get back out. Now there was a lot more things that ended up happening, such as finding multiple caches of Magitech equipment, a particular anti-barbarous weapon that was in all of the city lights. It doesn't kill. It was basically like a sort of protection that was Magitech powered. It doesn't kill Barbarous, but it causes them significant pain. And pretty much
depending on how you look at it, that may be worse.
And pretty much puts a permanent debuff on them until the thing is shut down. It was powered by the water system. There were also within the I took a few liberties, like having full Magitech mecha hidden in deep hangars that a lot of the Barbarous couldn't get to because of the traps, including that one real nasty gas trap. But there was also the infamous character Demon Tamer Zabar, who, could kind of be considered a prototype of demonologists. And one of the parts of the horror thing is, you know how you can have that whole assimilation penalty if you die in Fairy Garden?
Mm-hmm.
In this one, in City of Mist, you're not that lucky. There are other things that end up happening to you if you end up dying. Now of course you can have a keeper do resurrection. It just costs 10,000 gamels. And you can't leave until the thing's paid off. You could contact the grave robber named Mugido to get it. But if you end up doing that, you end up going through the magic transformation process. Essentially, you have some monster or Magitech body part grafted onto you. This could be on your hands, feet, chest, or head.
I could if I could see how the people that probably want to consider this like the darker of the two scenarios.
Oh, there's some other stuff that's certainly on the messed up side of things, especially given that we're dealing with Barbarous, where murder and torture are just Tuesday. Or the fact that there was that one instance with that kid. Riona should know what I'm talking about. That when I was going through that part, I ended up thinking of the early episodes of Promised Neverland.
Oh, ow.
Especially since said kid thought it was a honor to be eaten by Barbarous.
Hmm.
Cannibalism. Cute.
Oh. Well, depending on the Barbarous, it might not be cannibalism. But this could range from getting your hand being turned into a Gar UI gun, having the hand of an invisible beast, and having that hand always be invisible, or having your legs be replaced with the body of an Androscorpion.
So we're into the Drukhari level of shit. Got it.
Mm-hmm. You could have a unicorn's horn grafted onto your head. Or have your chest be replaced with a Behringer, which is basically a Magitech power generator that emits lightning.
Walking batteries.
Essentially means you can no longer equip metal armor. Or things like having...
if you're a mage, you wouldn't even need metal armor to begin with.
Or, you could also have the issue of having your hair being turned into Medusa hair. Which, if you do that, you can't equip metal armor, and you can't equip head accessories. And, it says, I think one of the options was tentacles. Yep, one of the options was tentacles.
No, I'm not gonna make that joke. It's too easy.
Oh. Yeah, in fact, one of them was tentacles from a killer octopus.
Oh, and for the record, I'm a Hydra. I don't have tentacles. I have serpentine necks and a head. There's a difference.
But because of the passage of time, I think one of the options was tentacles. It doesn't specify if it's just hair on the head. Each of the magic transformation options specifies which body part is getting messed with. And it is rolled randomly. But because of the whole time band thing, being in the city at night is significantly dangerous. You have a much higher chance of encountering wandering bandits or Barbarous. And if you get killed by them, it's just a occupational hazard. This is especially the case if you're a priest who's linked to any of the gods of the First Sword. It is even easier to encounter Barbarous who want to kill you. And I know I said that you could potentially use any of the combat systems with, say, Fairy Garden. I feel like with City of Mist, it is specifically built for simplified combat. Because City of Mist is far more encounter-heavy. Which makes sense, you are effectively in enemy territory.
Like, you're in enemy territory, and you're and you're like the equivalent of like cattle inside of Fort Worth.
Mm-hmm. But even with that, there are resistance things, and it's not like everything in there could potentially hurt you. There are plenty of places that are heavily neglected because of the nature of Barbarous. including certain fairies who are significantly weakened because of the state of their environment, but can be allies. There's even one hidden area that has a very weakened Sword of Protection. And of course, plenty of areas have some way to kill you, but because of the fact that it's a city with that whole random setup, you could encounter some weird combinations. It's a little bit easier to wrap your head around this with Fairy Garden, because space is warped and time is bendable. It's a little bit tricky when you end up passing by one street and then the next area is just a well. A neglected well, but a well nonetheless. That kind of thing can happen, and those sort of things are why this particular approach, when it comes to doing tables, we wouldn't see it as much in future campaigns. Not until Vice City, which that was the first campaign for 2.5, so we're not going to be touching that for a while. I do somewhat consider Vice City to be a slightly improved version of what was attempted in Mist Castle, especially since both of them are cities that have a heavy barbarous component. But overall, based on what you guys have seen with this, what do you think of Fairy Garden and Mist Castle? I know we skimmed quite a bit.
Well, I definitely appreciated what they were trying to go for. It shows that they were still testing the waters. Yeah, but at the very least, I could definitely see how this was effectively the foundations for all the other scenarios and campaigns that they have from this point forward.
Now, this isn't the last campaign book that we'll be covering in the series, obviously, but the other ones, they're not exactly doing the same build an area thing that we see here. I think there was a realization that trying to do that with set areas like, say, a city, even if it's a city controlled by Barbarous, creates some awkward scenarios. And we ended up having that late game where I kept rolling results that were areas that had already been revealed.
I mean, it's even the choose your own adventure books had a certain streamlined effect to it. Just constantly rolling 2d6 can lead to repeats.
Mm-hmm. So it's something that can happen for certain. But I do think that between the two, as much as I enjoyed running Mist Castle, I think if I was to bring in some people into Sword World 2.0 for the first time, between these two adventures, Fairy Garden is the one I'd be more likely to run.
Mm-hmm. Mist Castle definitely looks like it was missing some more meat on the bones.
I suppose that's why we would get Mist Grave a bit of time later.
Mm-hmm. I will say, like, the idea of hey, you're in a city where the monsters are in charge and they treat you kind of the same as you would treat the monsters is definitely an interesting concept that we do see pop up time to time in different settings and stories. So it's like it is nice that they did that here, and it does have a lot of interesting ideas. It's just like we've gone over this before. It's kind of like they didn't quite know what they were doing.
I think the idea was there. I think it just needed some refining, which we'd eventually get. But I hesitate to do some. Oh, they didn't know what they were doing because we're dealing with people who. It's not like this. It's not like this was Babby's first project. They had a lot of the Kei Kitazawa and the like had been playing and doing replays of Sword World for years beforehand. And I think that's something important to note. But when we come back here in about a week's time, I believe we'll be focusing on rule expansions. Let me check what I put in the schedule. Oh, speaking of Barbarous, next week that is going to be the focus, because we're going to be looking at the first Barbarous-focused supplement. That being Barbarous Tales.
Well, that's definitely a nice segue.
Mm-hmm. So keep an eye out for that next week. I will have a few other things I've got in the pipeline for the next few days, including some returning friends, and some more of Cloudbreaker, and wrapping up Augusta Universalis. So please look forward to it. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, may your adventures be grand and your treasures myriad. Stay frosty.
Till next time, everyone.
Bye, everybody.